So my name is Spring Cooper. I'm from CUNY School of Public Health in Harlem. And I'm going to talk a little bit about an assignment that I created to use, and then a little bit more about also other things that I've learned and other things that we're doing. So this assignment was also out of this Building Bridges of Knowledge grant that was CUNY-wide that a few of us were a part of. And so as part of that project, I developed this assignment called AI Bias in Health. And the idea with this assignment was kind of to orient students to AI first. So it's kind of like an introductory assignment to teach students about AI, about how to use it, and then what its relevance is in public health. So the idea is students use AI tools to generate essays on public health topics, and then critically evaluate those essays for potential biases and understand the ethical implications of using AI-generated content in public health. The learning objectives of the assignment were to identify and analyze various forms of bias present in AI-generated essays on public health, to evaluate ethical implications, and then develop strategies for mitigating biases in AI-generated content so that they could take those lessons forward as they're starting to use AI in other assignments throughout their public health career. So they were asked to use an AI tool, a generative AI tool such as ChatGPT, to generate essays on a given public health topic, and then generate at least 2 essays on the same topic using different prompts or different AI tools so that they could compare those results. And sorry, I didn't mention that I gave you that QR code so you can go to the actual Google Doc of the whole assignment if you want to look at it. So on that assignment, I also have a lot of prompts and a lot of suggestions for the students to actually think about, so they're not just left to create their own prompt, but I give example prompts and say, for example, your prompt may say something like this, and then fill in the blank with like whatever topic you're interested in. So after they create the 2 essays, then the assignment is to do a critical evaluation of the essays, looking at the types of biases they can identify, potential impact of these biases on public health messaging and decisions, implications of using AI-generated content in public health, and then they're supposed to propose some strategies to mitigate those biases and suggest guidelines for using AI tools ethically in health communication, ensuring fairness and accuracy. So I'm going to tell you that I have not used this assignment. So the class that I was going to use that assignment in, I ended up not teaching anymore for a lot of other reasons. But what we've been doing at the School of Public Health is really trying to understand where our students are in terms of AI, because we've been getting so many drastically different things happening in different classrooms. And part of this, I think, is because all of the professors on our campus are using different AI verbiage in their syllabi. We're all kind of like doing our own thing. We've been left to decide what we want to do for ourselves. So students end up pretty confused about how to use AI and whether they can use AI and which ways they should use it and how they should be documenting that. Yesterday, I had a student say to me, I don't think I've ever used AI before. I've used ChatGPT a few times, but I haven't tried AI. And I was like, okay, great. So we know there's a lot of confusion, and we're hearing, from some students, like, some students are just using AI all the time, and then some students like still don't even know what we mean when we say AI. So what we did at our school is just over the past couple months, we just conducted 6 focus groups with School of Public Health students about their AI needs. And these are very, very preliminary ideas, just some things I've been noticing, just looking at the data. We're still doing our analysis, but I kind of wanted to highlight some of this because I think it's really important to start to consider these things as we're thinking about using assignments that have AI in them and helping our students with that. So one of the things we keep hearing is students really want to learn more about the environmental impact of AI. There are a lot of students, at least at our school, that are still very afraid of using AI for that reason. They heard this, like, it's a cup of water every time you use an AI prompt, and then they feel like very bad about using it. And so part of it is educating students about the energy they're using for all types of things whenever they use a Google search, and what does that look like? And then what's the difference between using generative AI to ask a prompt versus to create a video or something? And that's drastically different. So I think that we need to help our students understand really what these things are in relation to each other so that they don't have this anxiety around even stepping into using AI. most of our students didn't seem too concerned about learning about the tools. When we asked them, about all the different parts of things they want to know, they aren't that interested in understanding what's happening in the models, at least at our school, but they do want to be taught how to use them well. And they've been very confused about what's happening in different classes and different ways of using them. And then when we ask them about like the future of AI at the School of Public Health, we're getting some very different types of messages. So, we're getting this idea like AI is the end of critical thinking as we know it, and like just a lot of fear around it. And so I think one thing to be very cognizant of as you like are taking AI into the classroom is some of these attitudes that might be present with students in your class. And then there's students also like saying AI makes my life so much better. They use it all the time. It's like their favorite thing to do. And then this other idea of there is no such thing as ethical use of AI. Like this really deep disconnect saying like, there's no way I can ethically use it. But some of the people who are saying that are still using it. So how are we like starting to facilitate this ability for our students to really understand what they're doing when they're using AI and to use it well and to create these prompts that they can understand what they're actually getting out of it. And so one thing that we've like started to think about is, like I did in that first assignment, drafting these prompts for students. So saying like, this is what a good prompt looks like, and then tell them why that prompt is better than another prompt, right? So if we're telling them that you can use a prompt where you say like, okay, I want to know about the specific issue, but give me 3 different perspectives on that and the pros and cons of each of these perspectives. And then they're able to actually get a broader view of the issue and then start to make some decisions and start to analyze that and think about it a little bit more. So how do we teach them how to use AI as a thought partner instead of a way just to get an answer? So the next steps for that qualitative research that we did, we're going to finish that analysis, and we're developing resources for our students based out of the specific things that they've said that they need. And I think this is a really important thing to think about sharing across CUNY campuses too, is like what resources we're developing, what packages we're developing for students just in their general understanding of how to use AI and how to use it well. And then another thing I wanted to briefly touch on is the access to AI considerations. And so we know, for example, that using paid versions of generative AI are much better models and are going to give you more helpful and more ways to like think about things. And so when we're asking students to use AI, most of them are probably going to be using free models. They're also going to run up against these limits of how many prompts they can put in, right? So this is another part where it's important to like help draft prompts for them, help give them ways to find their way in so that they're not just using all their prompts up and then they're like, oh, I can't do the assignment because I've run out of the number of times I can ask the GPT for help, right? So one of the things we're recommending is instead of relying only on like a custom GPT that you might create like a course bot that helps students through an assignment or a certain LLM, pair it with those shared prompts, and then maybe also make a group chat or a shared thread, depending if it's asynchronous or synchronous, you can do that in different ways, but give them a way to actually share what they're learning and what they're using and what they're getting so that they can also collaboratively use that a little bit better so that they're not feeling frustrated when they run out of prompts and have to wait 24 hours or something to do some more work with that. So that way students aren't blocked and we're actually understanding accessibility and using a more equitable approach to asking students to use AI. Other things that we're doing at the School of Public Health, we created a SPH AI working group. So within our working group, we meet every couple of weeks and we're doing a lot of things like this focus group research, but we've also developed an AI and ethics and public health course that we've run a couple of times now. And we've been doing a lot of faculty trainings and have experts come in and do a few panels. And we've been trialing a lot of different types of ways to support students by bringing AI into the class. And those have been really interesting and shown us a lot of really highlighted a lot of things that we weren't aware of also. So like, for example, I had used a course tool that I brought in that was allowing students to, instead of take a quiz, I had an oral AI professor conversation with them where it was all oral. So the idea is they take away the ability to leave the frame and ask AI for answers. They have to answer orally with the AI professor. And so with the AI professor, they would explain what they understood from the readings and get feedback from the AI professor, and then that would give them a green, yellow, or a red on their understanding. So it's also giving them feedback to help them then say like, okay, where do I need to learn more? And so they could engage with that instead of doing the quiz as a way to try that out. And I really liked this because it was a way of like getting deeper engagement with the readings and giving students a way to play with an AI tool and to also like get feedback on what they understood and what they didn't understand. And some of the students really liked it. And then there was a lot of students who also were like, this is too hard. I don't understand this, even though all you had to do was push a button. So there is like a lot of learning that needs to happen as we like are introducing these new tools and these new ways of trialing things in the classroom. So I think like as we're doing this, we need to be really patient and really checking in with our students a lot about what's happening for them, what they're getting out of that, and what that experience is like for them.